The next page features Hybrid Heaven, a sci-fi thriller game. The cover highlights in-depth strategies for games like Mario Golf, Duke Nukem, Zero Hour, and WWF Attitude. There's a section for World Driver Championship and Command & Conquer, along with previews for Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, and Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko. A contest called Monster Truck Madness is advertised, offering a chance to win a Bigfoot Street Machine. This page is an advertisement for Nintendo Power's coverage of Pokémon. It touts the magazine as the source for evolution tips and tricks, referencing Pokémon evolving from cute to powerful forms. It features various Pokémon and their evolutions, such as Bulbasaur, Charizard, Blastoise, Pikachu, and includes a shot of the Nintendo Power magazine with Pokémon Snap on the cover. The advert promotes a yearly subscription for $19.95. Offering strategy guides or Pokémon t-shirts as bonuses. It includes a toll-free number to order. The next page is a full-page ad for Acclaim Sports' NFL Quarterback Club 2000 for the Nintendo 64, Sega Dreamcast, and Game Boy Color. It highlights features like ultra-high-resolution graphics, realistic player models, artificial intelligence designed by Charlie Weiss, pinpoint passing, and over 1,200 animations. It mentions the inclusion of the expansion Cleveland Browns and Tennessee Titans. This page features the Nintendo 64 game Monster Truck Madness 64. The game boasts free roaming, go anywhere, 3D monster truck racing carnage. It includes 7 modes of gameplay, such as circuit racing, summit rumble, police chase, and indoor soccer, and allows up to 4 players to compete against each other. Featured monster trucks include Bigfoot, Gravedigger, NWO Hollywood Hogan, WCW Stinger, and 15 others. The next page highlights several games. Hybrid Heaven for Nintendo 64 is featured as a new action-adventure game from Konami set in Manhattan, crawling with genetically altered monsters, with strategies to save your skin. WWF Attitude is mentioned as a customizable wrestling game for home entertainment, including wrestlers like Stone Cold, The Rock, and Mankind. Also featured is Mario Golf for Nintendo 64, with Mario, Peach, Bowser, and the gang. Army Men. Sarge's Heroes is previewed as a plastic perspective war game, where soldiers shrink down to military size for backyard conflicts. Lastly, Pokémon is advertised, including the return of Pokémon comics and a sticker album designed for collecting Pokémon stickers. The next page is the Player's Pulse section, where readers share their thoughts and opinions on Nintendo games and the upcoming Project Dolphin console. Readers express excitement and anticipation for the new console. Some are curious about the name Dolphin, while others share their hopes for specific games and features, like a playable Bowser. One reader shares a story about the tragic loss of their Pokemon Pikachu toy. The page also features fan art and humorous anecdotes related to Nintendo games, such as a reader's observation about Reinhardt's UMMPH sound in Castlevania, and a birthday wish involving a Pokemon Pikachu. There is also a cartoon depicting batteries as crime scene investigators, plus letters with drawings of Pikachu and Super Mario. This page features power charts listing the top-rated Nintendo 64 and Game Boy games. Zelda, Bond, and Pokemon are still dominating the charts. Super Smash Bros. Is climbing up the ranks. The charts list the top 20 64 games and top 10 Game Boy games with their respective companies, last month's ranking, and how many months they've been on the chart. There's also a section with readers' letters sharing anecdotes and experiences with Nintendo products. One story tells of a Pokemon game accidentally going through the wash and still working, another about a durable Rumble Pank surviving abuse. The page also includes fan art featuring Pikachu and Mario. The page ends with info for contacting Nintendo Power Player's Pulse. The next page is a promotional spread for the Nintendo 64 wrestling game, WWF Attitude. The left side of the spread features a collage of wrestlers and the game's logo. There is text promoting the game and mentions its features, like detailed wrestler models and a Create a Wrestler mode. The right side of the spread is dedicated to the Exhibition mode, with screenshots and descriptions of different match types, including Versus, Tag Team, Tornado, 1-on-2, 1-on-3, Lumberjack, Gauntlet, Tag Gauntlet, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, Battle Royal, War, Stable Match, Triple Threat, and Triangle. The page also features a screenshot of Stone Cold Steve Austin and the Nintendo 64 logo. The next page delves deeper into WWF Attitude on the Nintendo 64. It highlights the career mode, where players can rise from a no-respect punk to heavyweight champion, and the pay-per-view mode, allowing custom events. The match type and match modifier section showcases the game's flexibility with customizable rules. The page also showcases the Create a Wrestler mode, allowing players to personalize their characters with unique looks, attributes, moves, and personalities. Finally, the page spotlights the wrestlers, listing finishers and trademark moves for several wrestlers, including Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, Mankind, Owen Hart, Bradshaw, Farouk, Kane, The Undertaker, Triple H, D'Lo Brown, The Rock, Bossman, Goldust, XPAC, Too Sexy, and Jerry Lawler. This page focuses on the moves and wrestlers of WWF Attitude on the Nintendo 64. It details different move types like ready moves, grapple moves, ground attacks, aerial attacks, behind attacks, and special attacks. The page also showcases a selection of wrestlers and their signature finishers and trademark moves. These include Thrasher with his running butt bump, Mark Henry using gorilla press slams, Mosh with a somersault leg drop, Shamrock utilizing the high angle suplex, Billy Gunn's finisher, and Paul Bearer employing the 450 splash. Furthermore, the page also mentions Road Dogg, Jeff Jarrett, Jacqueline, Val Venis, Steve Blackman, Edge, Kyna, Draws, and Mark Marrow with their respective moves. The next page is an advertisement for Visteon's rear seat entertainment system, which includes a Nintendo 64. It shows screenshots from WWF Attitude on the Nintendo 64, and the features of the game such as multiplayer and the King of the Ring mode. The ad then highlights the wrestlers in the game, with Sergeant Slaughter, Takaka, Kurgan, Drive, Death, Gangrel, Al Snow, Godfather, and Christian, each described with their finishers and trademark moves. This page focuses on Konami's Hybrid Heaven for the Nintendo 64. The game is described as a fighting RPG adventure hybrid set beneath the streets of Manhattan, involving genetic engineering, cloning, and a plot to replace the U.S. president. The page details the different modes of play, including a story mode with exploration and puzzle solving, a 2-player battle mode, a 5 matches mode where players can use their controller pack to download champion fighters, and a survival mode. It highlights the game's unique fighting system, where players can choose offensive, defensive, or combo moves, and the turn-based battles, with emphasis on strengthening individual body parts. This page provides a map and strategy guide for Hybrid Heaven's Area 1 bioweapon storage facility. It offers tips for navigating the area, acquiring key items like the code key, and defeating enemies. It highlights specific locations within the facility, such as Sector 1A, Sector 1B, Sector 1C, Sector 1D, and Sector 1E, explaining the challenges and objectives in each sector. The guide also offers specific combat advice, such as utilizing grapples and technique attacks, and explains how to update your code key to avoid surprise attacks, and how to deal with explosive robots. This page provides a strategy guide for areas in the Nintendo 64 game Hybrid Heaven. It details how to navigate Area 2, Drive, Ross's Lab, where players must evade a powerful monster. It also guides players through Area 3, Clone Storage Facility, revealing a plot twist and switching the playable character. The guide offers tips for avoiding enemies, finding life stations, and scaling walls. The page highlights specific encounters, such as fighting the Man in Black and dealing with poison-shooting clones. The next page continues the strategy guide for Hybrid Heaven, focusing on Area 3, Clone Storage Facility, and introducing Area 4, Weapon Factory. It gives step-by-step instructions with maps for navigating through sectors like 3E, 3F, 4B, 4C, 4D, and 4E. Tips include battling Hybrid Kevin, dealing with lumbering robots, finding hidden items, and avoiding probe robots. The guide also provides screenshots of key moments and enemies, such as the Man in Black and the Rock'em Sock'em robots. This page provides more strategy for Hybrid Heaven, specifically Area 4, the Weapon Factory, spanning sectors 4E, 4F, and 4 grams. The guide details how to navigate the area, avoid steam clouds, and defeat a robot roadblock. The guide also shows how to destroy rocket launchers to find items and reverse conveyor belt flow. It mentions encountering Johnny Slater and Diaz. It concludes with info on using the ring eraser and ion shot weapons. The page also showcases the Rugrats Scavenger Hunt game for the Nintendo 64. The game has 3 games in one and shows the characters of Tommy, Chucky, and Angelica. The next page features an advert for the Nintendo 64 game Battle Tanks Global Assault, displaying a scene inspired by The Wizard of Oz, where characters Dorothy, the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow are running down the yellow brick road away from a tank. The game's logo and tagline, "Fight for the Future," are prominently displayed. The advert also has screenshots highlighting insane weapons and modes of destruction, and 4-player head-to-head action, and also states that the game has 22 new levels and 12 havoc-wreaking tanks. The publisher is 3DOS, and a URL is shown. This page is dedicated to cheat codes and secrets for several games. For Star Wars Rogue Squadron on Nintendo 64, there is a Phantom Menace code to unlock the Naboo starfighter. All-Star Baseball 2000 has new codes for the Enter cheat screen. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer also has secrets, including a dual controller mode that allows separate control of the engines, plus codes to unlock hidden racers such as Scrycy Yunga, Jin Riso, and options like invincibility and mirror mode, accessed via the cheat menu. Also included are codes for Big Ball mode, Blackout mode, and Fog mode. This page features classified information with codes and secrets for several games. Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest on the N64 has create-a-player codes that alter player attributes, such as making them big-footed or top-heavy. In Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for Game Boy Color, players can switch Mario with Luigi in original 1985 and challenge modes. For Milo's Astro Lanes, there's a code to change the game's graphics to a Turok-style pen and ink mode. Snowboard Kids 2 has a code to unlock all snowboarders, boards, and runs. Finally, F1 World Grand Prix has codes related to a driver named Williams, which unlock bonus challenges, a gallery, and credits. The next page is a promotional spread for Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko. Gex, described as a stunt gecko, performs all his own stunts and has moves not found anywhere else. This game features tongue attacks and disguises where Gex transforms into various forms, such as Hercugex and RoboGex. The game's story revolves around Gex saving Agent Extra, taking him from the North Pole to the Sahara. Gex rides several vehicles and animals in the game, including a mule, a kangaroo, a crocodile, and a camel. The variety of action is compared to games like Banjo-Kazooie and Zelda, with the game scheduled for release in September. This page is all about Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko, and is broken up into sections, Adventure, and Mystery. The Adventure section describes Gex's mission to save Agent Extra, encountering enemies, friends, and characters like a mad Santa and ninja schoolgirls. It highlights the variety of settings, from sci-fi to spaghetti westerns, and mentions 27 areas with quirky names like Clueless in Seattle. It mentions the game features a cameo from game reviewer Roger Ebert. The Mystery section focuses on Gex's missions, emphasizing exploration for items and secrets. It references a Western-themed level called The Oregon Trail, and describes the game's humor and gaming variety. The final section, titled North by North Gex, details the mission objectives, ranging from snowboarding to finding a vampire's robe, and mentions the variety of enemies and bosses. The next page is an advert featuring Pokemon games and Nintendo 64 games. It advertises games like Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Pinball, Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Blue, and Pokemon Red. Classic Player's Choice titles such as Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye 007, Mario Kart 64, Super Mario 64, and Wave Race 64 are also advertised there. There is also a coupon for $5 off a Nintendo 64 or Game Boy game. This page is part of the Counselor's Corner section, offering tips and tricks for Nintendo 64 games. One section covers Star Wars, Episode Einracer, answering the question of why the pod racer keeps slowing down and how to access Sebulba. There are screenshots showing gameplay and advice on upgrading parts and racing strategies. The other section focuses on The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, with tips on how to defeat Morpha, find fairies easily, and the point of the forest stage. Screenshots accompany each tip to visually aid players. This page features tips and tricks for Super Smash Bros. On 64 and Super Mario Bros. DX on Game Boy Color. For Super Smash Bros., it gives advice on completing Bonus Challenge 2 with Linus, including how to use his PK Thunder attack effectively. There are also tips for fighting Master Hand, suggesting characters like Yoshi and Kirby for their unique abilities. For Captain Falcon, it gives tips to break all targets. Switching over to Super Mario Bros. DX, it shows you how to access the Boo races and lost levels by reaching certain point totals with Boo and Luigi. It also explains where to find the warp zones in the original Super Mario Bros. Game. Finally, it includes a Q&A section with fast facts for Star Fox 64 and Diddy Kong Racing. There are also toll call numbers to find out more about games. The next page discusses World Driver Championship for the N64. It gives an overview of the game's rankings and available vehicles, alongside team and vehicle recommendations. There are also some target lap times for different courses. The text encourages mimicking pro drivers and gives their smart car progression choices for both GT2 and GT1 circuits. GT2 vehicles include Rage 512, Elan Swift, Ram Venom, and Total Sport, while GT1 vehicles feature Lance Scorcher, Scorpion, McCloud, and Rage 996. It gives a bit of flavor behind the teams as well, like Sage Autosport, who have a tradition of winning and expect nothing less. This page continues the coverage of World Driver Championship for the N64, delving into the GT1 Championship, Super Series, Spider Cup, and Endurance Cup. The article gives track recommendations with screenshots from Hawaii B, Sydney A, New Zealand B, and Black Forest AR. The page also features a PokeQuiz tied into the Pokemon video series, posing trivia questions related to Pokemon episodes to encourage the reader to buy the VHS tapes and DVDs available at Suncoast and Babbage's. Some of the Pokemon films mentioned are I Choose You Pikachu, The Mystery of MT Moon, The Sisters of Cerulean City, Poke Friends, Thundershock, Seaside Pikachu, and Psychic Surprise. The next page features Mario Golf for the Nintendo 64, offering tips and tricks to help players conquer the courses. The page talks about club selection, spin control, and how wind and rain affect gameplay. There are screenshots of Mario, Luigi, Yoshi, and Peach in-game. It explains concepts like club trajectories, draw and fade shots, and the effects of different spins on the ball. The next page delves into Mario Golf for the Nintendo 64, offering course strategies for Toad Highlands, Shy Guy Desert, Koopa Park, and Yoshi's Island. It showcases screenshots of gameplay from each course and recommends aiming strategies and highlights specific holes and hazards. The advice covers considerations like wind, bunkers, and terrain, offering targeted tips for each course. This page offers strategies for Ring Golf in Mario Golf on the Nintendo 64. It details how to unlock ring courses and provides course maps and specific tips for each hole across various courses. Tips are provided for courses like Creek Crossing, Every Which Way, Power Past the Pond, and Arches Here and There. It also covers puttering around in mini golf, with strategies for Luigi's Garden and Peach's Castle courses. The next page features two distinct promotions. The first is the Nintendo Power Invitational for Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color, offering prizes like a Mario Trophy, Game Boy Color systems, and Nintendo golf ball sets. Players are instructed to enter a special code, play the tournament, and photograph their results password screen to enter. The second is a Tommy Hilfiger ad for a special edition Game Boy Color, available with a qualifying purchase of Tommy Hilfiger clothing or accessories. It promotes a limited time offer and shows children holding up a giant Game Boy Color. This page is dedicated to Base Hunter 64 for the Nintendo 64. It gives tips and strategies for fishing in the game, with sections on choosing the right fishing gear like surface lures, crankbaits, jigs, rods, and reels and boats. There's also advice on getting bites, covering favorite foods, reflex actions, and understanding fish feelings. The page includes screenshots from the game and lake information to help players succeed. There are also references to the Fisherman brand, noting the connection between the game and real-world fishing expertise. This page provides an in-depth guide to two lakes in Bass Hunter 64, Lake Arthur and Butler Chain. It describes weather conditions, structural elements like fallen timber and plants, water conditions, and seasonal patterns that affect fishing. The page offers advice on where to find bass based on these factors, and recommends specific lures for different situations, such as using crankbaits in clear water. Lake maps show depth contours for each lake, including areas like Hidden River and Dutch Hollow in Lake Arthur, and Lake Palmer and Lake Chase in Butler Chain. The next page covers tips and strategies for the game Base Hunter 64. It suggests different lures like jigs and soft plastics depending on the situation, such as using a pork trailer with a jig. The page illustrates how to set the hook when a fish nibbles, adjusting for whether the fish is facing towards or away from you. It also advises on how to play a large fish on the line, using the drag to avoid snapping the line. The page features an advertisement for a Escape to Color Game Boy Color Mega Pack contest, with grand prizes including Game Boy Color systems, Game Boy cameras, and printers. This page dives into Army Men, Sarge's heroes for the N64. It details the storyline involving General Plastro and the Tan Army, who are using bizarre weapons and portals to bring household items and insects into the war. The article includes screenshots of gameplay within environments like a house and backyard. The game's inspiration came from childhood memories of playing with toy soldiers. The sound design features 3D audio, and the combat animations are hand-animated for exaggerated realism. There are also quotes from the developers, including Michael Mendheim, Andre Emerson, and Dan Geisler. This page provides an overview of the characters and gameplay in Army Men, Sarge's heroes. It highlights characters like Scorch, Riff, Hoover, and Shrap, each with unique personalities and weapons. The page features screenshots of the game, showcasing different weapons like the mortar, bazooka, and flamethrower, and discusses the game's rumble pack support and plastocene visual effect. Quotes from General Plastro are included, adding to the narrative. The developers also mention a cheat code that turns characters into a T2 tin soldier effect. The next page presents a war exercise workout for the game Army Men, Sarge's heroes, detailing how players can engage in war training exercises with up to 4 soldiers in modes like Play Mode, War, and Capture. Classic plastic world terrain such as Island, Base, Town, and Fort Plastro are available. A developer highlights how they used to mangle toy army men as kids. The page also announces the future of war, describing the game's immersive detail and explosive nature, appealing to both adults and children. The right side of the page is an advert for Lego racers, highlighting the ability to build and race cars, master wild racetracks, and defeat Lego champions. This page provides a guide to Duke Nukem 0 Hour for the Nintendo 64, highlighting key objectives and strategies across different levels. It covers Mean Streets, Liberty or Death, and Nuclear Winter, detailing how to locate keys, power down substations, collect time machine parts, and find power cells. The page also features screenshots of gameplay. The guide includes tips for finding ventilation shafts and overflow control areas, as well as advice for dealing with enemies and navigating each environment. The next page of Nintendo Power offers gameplay tips and objectives for Duke Nukem 0 Hour for the Nintendo 64. It covers sections such as Fallout, where you must shut down a field generator in an alien base, and Under Siege, where you have to protect and rescue survivors at HQ. The guide details how to collect time machine parts, blast wall cracks, and find atomic health boosters. It provides strategies for navigating levels like Dry Town and Jailbreak, including how to find keys and blow up safes. The guide also features screenshots of gameplay, highlighting key locations and objectives. This page continues the walkthrough for Duke Nukem 0 Hour. It covers objectives like navigating the Up the Creek level, where you must find passes and a time machine part on a cyborg manufacturing boat. The guide extends to Fort Roswell, tasking players with finding the barracks key, guard tower key, and time machine part within the fort. Tips are given on opening doors and dealing with enemies like the cowboy. Finally, the walkthrough goes into the Probing the Depth section, where players must switch tracks in the mines and ride minecarts to collect another time machine part while outrunning a boulder. Other game sections include Victorian England, Whitechapel, Dawn of the Duke, and Hydrogen Bomb. This page details the New York alternative present level in Duke Nukem 0 Hour. It outlines the objectives to set things right after aliens have messed with the past. Players need to infiltrate the mothership and defeat its leader. The walkthrough includes how to defeat various Duke Nukem clones, clear the garage, navigate through the alien mothership, use the cyborg head, battle in the cavern, and shut down the generators. Instructions are also given to find the Havoc multi-launcher. The next page focuses on the multiplayer mode of Duke Nukem 0 Hour, titled Put Up Your Dukes, highlighting the ability to play as different versions of Duke in various environments. There's a section called Choose Your Pain that describes 4 game types: Duke Match, Last Man Standing, King of the Hill, and Team Duke Match. It also mentions the availability of 14 different arenas and a full cast of characters. Screenshots show gameplay from different game modes and environments. The page also promotes the characters available and the environments for all occasions. The rest of the page is an advertisement for Pokemon Snap on the N64, highlighting its availability, price, and a special offer at Funkoland. A coupon is included, offering a Pokemon trading card game booster pack for 5 cents, with the reservation of Pokemon Snap and console bundle with 2 controllers. This page is all about Pokemon. The Creature Features section announces the upcoming release of the Pokemon movie featuring Mewtwo and the short film Pikachu's Vacation. There's information about the Pokemon League's Summer Training Tour 99, describing it as a nationwide event to help players hone their skills. The tour includes tournaments with level restrictions, such as the Pika Cup, Poke Cup, and Prime Cup. The page lists East and West Coast tour locations and dates. The rest of the page is a comic strip, where Ash challenges the gym leaders, and they refuse to battle. The next page continues the Pokemon comic strip, where Misty reveals herself as the 4th sensational sister and challenges Ash to a battle after the others refuse. Ash accepts and chooses Pikachu to fight. This page continues the Pokemon comic strip. Ash and Misty begin their battle. Misty chooses Staryu, and Ash chooses Butterfree. Misty then chooses Starmie, and Ash chooses Pidgeotto. The battle rages on with each trainer strategizing and shouting commands to their Pokemon. The next page shows the continuation of the Pokemon comic. Butterfree tackles Staryu, then Starmie's energy runs out. Pidgeotto uses Gust Attack. They blew right through the wall. The next page shows the continuing saga of the Pokemon comic, featuring Team Rocket's latest scheme to steal water Pokemon by draining a swimming pool. We see Jessie, James, and Meowth enacting their plan with a giant vacuum hose, causing chows for Ash, Pikachu, and the other poolgoers. Pikachu uses Thunderbolt to counter the attack, but Ash dives in to save Pikachu. Team Rocket is defeated again, blasting off in their usual comical fashion. This page continues the Pokemon comic where Ash, Misty, and Brock are in Cerulean City. The comic depicts a disrupted battle leading to Ash receiving a badge despite the interruption, with Misty expressing her frustration. Brock joins the group, and they head off into the sunset. The page also features PokeChat, with questions and answers about the Pokemon games Red, Blue, and Yellow, discussing topics like compatibility with Pokemon Stadium and key configuration in Pokemon Pinball. There's also a section titled Smile Pikachu, showing a photo of a Pokemon-themed Volkswagen Beetle. The page concludes with a Pokemon gallery, showcasing fan art of Pokemon like Ninetales, Ash, and Diglett. The next page features Command & Conquer for the Nintendo 64. There's a detailed walkthrough for a Nod mission, including maps and strategies, with text explaining how to approach the mission in detail. The page also describes the storyline of the game, with the GDI forces trying to maintain peace and order, while the Nod forces aim for ultimate victory, featuring screenshots and images of the characters and gameplay. This page provides detailed walkthroughs for 2 Nod missions in Command & Conquer for the Nintendo 64. The first mission, Breakout and Build, requires infiltrating a communication center to obtain security codes for a devastating GDI satellite weapon. The strategy involves drawing out enemy forces with Nod buggies, building a stealth tank, and ultimately destroying the GDI base. The second mission, The Promised Land, tasks the player with destroying 3 remaining GDI bases to clear a site for a Nod temple with nuclear capabilities. The walkthrough includes capturing helicopters, breaching base defenses with artillery, and destroying key enemy structures like power plants. The page also includes maps with marked locations and strategic tips for each mission. The next page features walkthroughs for Command & Conquer 64 GDI missions. Mission 13, titled The Kane Scrutiny, involves destroying every Nod structure in a chemical research compound, with the goal of eliminating Kane. The walkthrough details base building, wall construction for harvester protection, tank usage, and capturing key facilities. Mission 14, Fish in the Barrel, requires stopping a Nod column from escaping through a ravine after Kane's escape in Mission 13. Strategies include ambushing artillery units and blockading the bridge to destroy the armored units. The page also includes maps with tactical positions and guidance on unit deployment. Finally, there is the Doomsday Machines section describing the ion cannon and nuclear missiles weapons. The next page presents a walkthrough for GDI Mission 15A in Command & Conquer 64, titled Kane's Last Stand, tasking players with confronting Kane at his HQ and stopping his nuclear attacks. The guide gives strategies for building a base, deploying units, and attacking Nod bases, including the Temple of Nod, with the reminder that time is of the essence because of the threat of Kane using his nukes. Also includes a map highlighting tactical positions. The page also features advertisements for Game Boy Color titles: Looney Tunes Carrot Crazy with Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny, Looney Tunes 2 Hubble featuring Sylvester and Tweety, The Smurfs Nightmare, and Lucky Luke. The ads include box art and gameplay screenshots. This page showcases Lego Racers, where players can create their own drivers and cars, then race on various tracks. The building aspect allows you to customize your driver's hat, face, body, and legs, with a huge number of possible variations. Car design starts with a chassis, and you can attach various Lego pieces, with height and width limitations. The game also includes a quick build option and a test drive mode. The page highlights in-game characters like Nestor, Nolan, and Ned. It mentions tracks set in forests, towns, and even the moon, racing against characters like Alpha Dragonus and Captain Redbeard. It also offers versus and time trial modes and controller pack support for saving custom creations, with a release around late August or early September. This page features Lego Racers, highlighting Tricks with Bricks, explaining the function of the red, yellow, green, blue, and white bricks that players can use. It details game modes like Circuit Race, Single Race, Versus Race, and Time Race, and shows different tracks such as Imperial Grand Prix, Tribal Island Trail, Night Marathon, Dark Forest Dash, Rocket City Run, Ice Planet Pathway, and Magma Moon Marathon. The page offers tips like getting a turbo start and performing power slides and super slides, also providing a hint about finding shortcuts by firing cannonballs. This page transitions from Lego Racers to Revelations, the Demon Slayer. It discusses Lego Racers circuits and gives tips for the Dark Forest Dash, Ice Planet Pathway, Adventure Temple Trail, and Amazon Adventure Alley tracks, recommending characters and power-ups to use. The page then introduces Revelations, the Demon Slayer for Game Boy Color, highlighting its compatibility with the GameLink cable and the ability to recruit and fuse demons. The screenshots show gameplay and character stats. The next page presents a monster giveaway contest featuring Monster Truck Madness 64. The grand prize is a real Ford truck customized by the Bigfoot team, along with the game. Other prizes include copies of Monster Truck Madness 64, battery-operated Radeon monster trucks, and Nintendo Power t-shirts. The page includes contest rules and entry details, prominently displaying images of the game, the trucks, and the t-shirt. This page, titled Arena, presents gaming challenges across several Nintendo 64 titles. There's a time attack challenge for Kemco's Top Gear Pocket, and a bugs challenge in Disney's A Bug's Life. There's a section called Which is More, which is a quiz comparing quantities from games and real-world items. A NP scoreboard section lists high scores for games like Zero and Banjo-Kazooie, with names like Douglas Nelson, Donnie Wise, Mary Bone, and many more. There's a Who Am I section asking to identify a blurry Pokemon from Pokemon Snap, and also mentions some challenge ideas from players for Diddy Kong Racing and Banjo-Kazooie. At the bottom, there's a Do You Have What It Takes section, asking for readers to send in challenge ideas or photos. This page is all about the game Monster Truck Madness 64. The page showcases the game's monster trucks, which are officially licensed from the Monster Truck competition. It highlights various trucks like Barefoot, Police Truck, Wildfoot, Stinger, Black Stallion, Snakebite, Samson, Rampage, Overkill, and The Outsiders. Further down the page are other trucks such as Nightmare, Monster Patrol, Hollywood Hogan, The Hitman, Firestone, Executioner, Gravedigger, Carolina Crusher, Boogie Van, and Bigfoot. Each truck has a short description, and the page emphasizes the game's racing and over-the-top action. The next page in Nintendo Power is all about Monster Truck Madness. It details the different ways to play the game, including exhibition and circuit modes, with racing single exhibitions in areas like Graveyard, Ruins, Junkyard, The Heights, Voodoo Island, Green Hill Pass, Wastelands, Aztec Valley, Alpine Challenge, and Death Trap. The page also covers the game's physics and unique gameplay mechanics. It goes over game modes like soccer and hockey, explaining how they work with monster trucks. Power-ups, such as the Super Jump hover item, homing missiles, shield, and invisibility power-up are also highlighted, giving tips on how to use them effectively. This page details more modes for the Monster Truck Madness game, starting with Summit Rumble, where players battle on an elevated platform, and Chase, a checkpoint-based race. The tag mode transforms the trucks into a game of chicken tag, where one truck is transformed into a chicken in order to gain points for avoiding the chicken truck. The page also features the game Pocket Bowling for the Game Boy Color, including its cover art and a tagline, and it highlights the game's features and customization options. This page showcases the Game Boy Color title Spawn, Konami's take on the Hellborn hero, coinciding with the third season of the HBO animated series, noting the game is a side-scroller. The page features a map of Spawn Alley, highlighting different sections like To the Clown and Overt Kill. Some enemies and areas of note include rabid dogs, shirtless bald men, mafia cyborgs, and bats. The page also details some gameplay mechanics and power-ups, such as the spawn icon for replenishing energy, the standard gun, and the machine gun. The next page focuses on two areas in the Spawn Game Boy Color game: the Chase and City Lights. The Chase section describes a motorcycle-based side-scrolling level where Spawn races through the city, dealing with enemy cyclists and motorists. It highlights boss battles against Billy Kincaid, where you collect guns and barrage him with fire, and a fight with the priest. It also details enemy types like motorcyclists who ram you from behind. City Lights features on-foot gameplay, similar to Spawn Alley. The text suggests conserving ammo to fight bosses Tremor and the Curse. The page offers tips to defeat Tremor by staying on the highest rooftop and attacking, and to use the machine gun or chains to defeat the Curse. The page also talks about using a flying kick by pressing B while jumping to avoid damage. This page features two games: Spawn for the Game Boy Color and Disney's Tarzan, also for the Game Boy Color. On the left, it includes a map of the Angel Orbiter level in Spawn, complete with strategies for battling enemies like Sentry and Redeemer, and tips on how to defeat bosses in the game. On the right, there is an advertisement for Disney's Tarzan, with screenshots and text highlighting features such as swinging with crocodiles and tree surfing. It mentions playing as young Tarzan, adult Tarzan, Jane, and Tarzan's ape friend Turk. The next page showcases three Nintendo 64 games: Duke Nukem, Zero Hour, Mario Golf, and Hybrid Heaven. Duke Nukem 0 Hour is highlighted with key features like 1-to-4 player capability, Rumble Pack compatibility, and multiple difficulty settings. The review touches on the game's mature humor, solid controls, and engaging level design, with an overall rating of 7.9. Mario Golf is also featured, noting its 1-to-4 player option, save slots, and various game modes. The review praises the graphics, controls, and courses, awarding it an overall rating of 8.5. Lastly, Hybrid Heaven is shown, emphasizing its cinematic scenes and complex story, with Rumble Pack enhancements. The review mentions the unique control scheme and futuristic world, giving the game an overall rating of 7.9. This page features three games: Base Hunter 64, Monster Truck Madness 64, and Lego Racers. Base Hunter 64 from Rockstar is a fishing simulator for one player, with Rumble Pack compatibility. The reviewer appreciates the realism in graphics and the control. The game's overall rating is 7.1. Monster Truck Madness 64 features 1-to-4 player action, Rumble Pack support, and multiple tracks. The drifting controls are mentioned, and the overall rating is 6.0. Lego Racers includes 1-to-2 player mode, Rumble Pack support, and car customization. The overall rating is 7.0, with positive comments on building the racer. The next page contains reviews for two Game Boy Color games. The first game is Vrally 99, a racing game by Infogrames with 20 courses. The reviewer praises the graphics, sense of speed, and sound, giving it an overall rating of 7.0. The second game is Chase HQ, a classic arcade game brought back by Taito. The reviewer notes the bright colors and strategic map element, with an overall rating of 6.4. The page also features screenshots of both games and includes comments from reviewers. There is also an advert for a Nintendo 64 Superman game, with character artwork and a comic book offer. This page features a review of Spawn for the Game Boy Color. The game receives an overall rating of 5.8. Reviewers praise the graphics for resembling Spawn art but criticize the game design for a lack of variety with only 4 stages. Screenshots show the gameplay and boss battles. The page includes comments from various reviewers with mixed opinions, and also touches on the game's sound and satisfaction levels. Evaluators include Andy, Armand, Dan, Ed, Henry, Jason, Kyle, Nate, Scott, and Sanja. They provide expertise in various game genres, which include adventure, action, sports, puzzle, and fighting games. The page also contains ratings, information, and covers age ratings. Additionally, the page advertises the upcoming release of Puzzle Master and Bubble Bobble for the Game Boy Color. It also features the Chase HQ review from the previous page. The next page has a Pack Watch section focusing on Jet Force Gemini, detailing character makeovers based on focus group feedback, and indicates the characters have grown up in response to player preferences. It also features classic Namco Ridge Racer on 64, licensed to Nintendo, with more courses and features. The article highlights Rumble Pack support, improved graphics, and a garage mode. The page includes screenshots from both games, with information about additional game modes and options for Ridge Racer 64. Games are also mentioned such as NFL Blitz 2000, Giant Doshin, and StarCraft with brief descriptions. This page is titled Pack Play and previews upcoming esports games for Supercross 2000. It covers a range of titles including Hot Wheels, Knockout Kings, WCW Mayhem, Madden NFL 2000, and more. The article touches on the realism and graphics of the games. Also covered on the page is Doshin and the DD, focusing on the long-awaited DD64 accessory, and the game Doshin the Giant. It has screenshots of Doshin. The page also has a Build It and They Will Play section dedicated to StarCraft for the N64. This page, titled Pack Peaks, dives into various upcoming games. It starts with More Choices, highlighting Nintendo of America's plan to add titles like The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Banjo-Kazooie, Rogue Squadron, and Yoshi's Story to the Player's Choice library. The page also covers NFL Blitz 2000, praising its arcade football action and features. NFL QB Club 2000 is mentioned as a more realistic alternative, with improved AI and animations. The page then shifts to Destruction Derby 64, a metal-crunching racing game. Finally, there is a section on Taz Express, showcasing the Looney Tunes Heroes Adventure game with puzzle elements. The Coming Soon section features Deja Vu for Game Boy Color, WrestleMania 2000, Pokemon Yellow, Battle Tanks 2, Yoda Stories, Kobe Bryant in NBA, Courtside 2, and Hyperbike. Our release forecast lists summer and fall releases like Base Hunter 64, Gex 3, NFL Blitz 2000, Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, and WrestleMania 2000. There is also a future release section with games like Pokemon Stadium, Ready to Rumble, and Shadowgate Rising. The next page starts with Coming Next Issue and previews the September 1999 issue. It highlights Jet Force Gemini with details about the cosmic heroes Juno, Vila, and Lupus. Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko, is mentioned for its in-depth strategies, and Blitz 2000 is set to tackle Midway's NFL Blitz 2000 with play-by-play analysis. There is also a section previewing StarCraft for the N64. The page provides a list of past Nintendo Powerback issues, including the July, June, May, April, March, February, January, December, November, October, September, August, and July 1998 issues, each with their own highlights such as specific games and previews. The page also advertises items from the SPS catalog, like a Ganondorf t-shirt, Pokemon Youth hat, Link Pocket Watch, Triforce bracelet, gold Game Boy camera, and N64 backpack. This page is a full-page advertisement for NFL Blitz 2000. It highlights the game's arcade-style play, lack of rules, and over-the-top action, showcasing the game's graphics and features, such as the On-Fire mode and new 4-player mode for the Nintendo 64. It promotes the game as a Super Bowl champion of football games with new features. Last year's stats are mentioned too, where it was the #1 selling football game for Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color.